to finally update you on what I'm currently reading, which is To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. This is my third Woolf. I read The Waves several years ago, and way before that, Orlando. This was in my July TBR, and I am very, very excited, and I decided to kind of make this an unintentional lighthouse themed vlog. And since starting this, I have seen so many more lighthouses. Like, once you become aware of a certain pattern, lighthouses and lighthouse motifs are everywhere, which is incredible. So I am 64 pages in. I'm currently on chapter 11. My edition has been lovingly annotated before me, which has been really fun. It feels like maybe whoever owned this before me was a high school student or something, just based on how they're annotating it and how they are personally dissecting the text. I'm enjoying this a lot. I find Virginia Woolf's work to be really interesting, where her style is so much more stream of consciousness. It is very philosophical. It is just the everyday meanderings, egos, thoughts, existentialism of all these different characters. We are following the Ramsey family. There is Mr. Ramsey, Mrs. Ramsey, and their 8 children. 8. While not a lot of information is just handed to us on the silver platter, it does seem like this family is at their vacation home, taking a respite. They come here in the summers. It's a familiar place. The children are running amok, running free. We're getting to know them through these tiny moments. These are small moments where their son, who's the most sensitive one, is being read to out loud by Mrs. Ramsey. And it's like these moments are really stretched out in slow motion. We're getting so into our characters' heads, bouncing between Mr. Ramsey's perspective. He's a very ideological, philosophical, scholarly, intellectual man, but quite emotionally stunted. And then we're getting into Mrs. Ramsey's head, who admires and loves her husband so much and loves her children and doesn't want them to grow up. We're getting into the young son's head, where he doesn't like his father. His father's very emotive and unpredictable, and he just wants to stay in a little bubble with his mom, who is safe and caring. We're also meeting some other people around the vacation home island. I picture it as an island. There's nothing in here, I think, that says that this is actually an island, but we're meeting them. I'm having a hard time picturing these 2 other male characters. There's Mr. Banks and Mr. I think Tansley. They have their own motives, they have their own characteristics, but I confuse them. I'm confusing a lot of these characters. There's also a young woman named Lily. She's a painter. She seems to be on the fringes, like kind of looking in on the family as this more aerial view. I wouldn't say she's an unbiased viewer of the family. She is very enmeshed with the family and admires them, loves them, looks up to them, reveres them, wants to be a part of it, kind of, maybe. She just loves the family. So just like in Virginia Woolf's other works, like, we are just getting so lost in these other people's thoughts and feelings that it feels equally relatable and equally claustrophobic. So many of the thoughts are things I have thought of before, so it does feel like, yes, okay, I can relate to these characters. I can think about life in this way, or what is the motivation of life, what's the meaning of life, getting down to the nitty-gritty philosophy of it all. But also there is something so, I don't know how I necessarily feel about Virginia Woolf's work. I appreciate it. I don't know if I fully enjoy reading it. I don't know if I fully find it as breathtaking as I think a lot of other people find her work. I'm sure for the time period, this was so profound and new and such a unique vantage point to be so in these characters' heads, but I do find that this is very reminiscent of a lot of other works I've read from, and so she definitely inspired a lot of authors that I probably read now. But I'm just not finding anything incredibly wowing about To the Lighthouse yet. I don't know, it's good. Her writing is incredible. There's so many beautiful lines in here, the way that she can just command a certain phrase or a sentence and restructure these words to something that is so poignant. Yeah, I do find her work really poignant. It is a nod of acknowledging, yes, like, you have captured the human essence, the human spirit, the human yearning, wants, desires, confusions, frustrations, actions. She does an incredible job with it. I'm not feeling anything with this at all. like I am observing these characters alongside whoever our narrator is. Like I am observing the Ramseys and I'm observing this island life, but I'm not feeling anything. I don't feel emotionally attached to anyone or anything in this book. And that's the same with like Orlando and with the waves. Like you can have something so poignant and psychological, and yet I still feel so unattached and indifferent. I feel incredibly indifferent, which is a bummer because I want to feel attached. I want to love this book, and I want to love these characters, and I want to love Virginia Woolf's writing, but this, like I said, this is my third. It's good. I'm not gonna say it's not good. Like, it's really, really good. I just am personally not, I don't feel anything. If something's not emotive and making me feel emotive, then I really struggle to want to pick it up. So that's kind of where I'm at. But I do think it is safe to say where I'm at in my life right now. It has been like very challenging, but like I'm on the up and up finally in my life. I am now officially on anti-anxiety medication for the first time in my life. I don't know, I have like tried to talk about this so many times in so many different videos, but I just like don't really know if there's a point in me talking about it, honestly. But I've like included it in so many of my videos and then I've always cut it out. But I honestly have been going through stress-related hair loss for 4 months. Since March, my hair's been falling out. And this is the 4th or 5th time I've experienced stress-related hair loss. Like I feel like in chronicling my life and just, you know, videos of myself speaking on YouTube, there are just so many phases you can see where my hair is like thicker and then really thin and then thicker and really thin. And it's stress related. I've lost over half of my hair since March. So in 4 months, it's just been nonstop, and it's been awful and scary. And then it's so hard not to be stressed because I'm losing hair. like I'm losing hair because I'm stressed. And then I'm stressed that I'm losing hair. So I'm trying so hard not to be stressed that I'm losing hair. But it's been 4 months of nonstop, like lost over half of my hair at this point. And I can feel it. It feels so different. It just doesn't even feel like me. It doesn't feel like my hair. So yeah, if anyone else has been going through that, I feel like it is kind of taboo or strange to talk about, just because I don't feel like a lot of people talk about stress-related hair loss, especially someone who is younger. Like I've been going through this since I was in my like early 20s. Like I just will lose a lot of hair due to stress. I'm finally doing something about it. I'm finally on anti-anxiety medication. It's really sparked my insomnia, unfortunately, my chronic insomnia. There's just a lot, but I'm on the up and up, which I'm really excited for. But also with that, like, I don't know, I just like haven't been yearning to pick this up at all, and that's okay, but kind of a bummer. But it tracks. It really tracks because I wasn't like obsessed with Orlando or the waves. I enjoyed reading them. I'm proud that I've read them. I like that I've read them so I can have my own opinion on them. But yeah, we'll see. We will see. I really hope I get into this more. I hope I can just like sit down and really like get into it. I don't know. I'm just not connecting with To the Lighthouse as much as I would like, and as much as I feel like a lot of other people like. But I do love my edition. It is so well loved, so beaten up, and that makes me love it even more. So cheers, friends. Thank you for being here on this journey of life, and I'll check in with you very soon. Oh my gosh, hello. Good evening. Welcome to my backyard. I am having a wonderful time with To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. Turn of events. It is a beautiful 72 degrees out right now. It feels like fall. Welcome to my backyard. I just went for a beautiful evening stroll. It is about like 7 p.m. I have been on and off reading this today. Honestly, my new anti-anxiety medication is knocking me on my ass, and I don't think I've ever felt so tired in my life. I feel like I have been sleeping on and off all day, and I had a lot of work I needed to do, and I just truly could not, and I've been reading. I am currently 83 pages in. I am now at the start of chapter 17, and I was finally able to get into a flow with this because I had dedicated time to sit down and read it, and I'm enjoying it immensely. I definitely appreciate the chapters and scenes that are following Mrs. Ramsay and her children more than I'm enjoying all of these men that I do picture as all looking the exact same. I know that's probably not true, but Tansley, Ramsey, who's the other guy? I already forgot. Like, it's like one of those things where you remember two of their names and then forget the third, and then you remember the other one, then you forget the other one's name. I cannot keep them separate, and I'm gonna have to start a post-it note or something so I can remember the character traits of these different men. So I am enjoying Mrs. Ramsay's perspective. I'm enjoying Lily's perspective. Lily is the painter, the artist, who is kind of just in their circumference. I don't really understand her story. And we are so deeply rooted in these people's minds that we're reading from. Like, we're reading from this omnipresent narrator, this god-like kind of figure, but we're getting into the inner monologue of certain characters and the stream of consciousness. And a lot of it is super messy. It's a lot of gray area. It's a lot of contradictory thoughts. It's a lot of juxtaposition, which I just thoroughly enjoy as someone who loves dichotomies and loves contradictory philosophies. It's in my head constantly. One thought will often negate the next that I have, and life is just this confusing mirage of different philosophies. So reading this as someone who loves that, as someone who loves getting lost in the convoluted and the confusing and having to engage my brain and think about what is actually happening, I'm actually really enjoying this. And I think having time to sit and read it where I'm not constantly distracted, where I'm not stopping every few sentences or paragraphs, and I can just really get lost in it, that's the best way for me to be reading this. You know, sometimes you have to figure out your own cadence and pacing with a book, and sometimes I find certain books just do better if you let it linger. You just kind of hang out with it for a second, take some time away from it. But for this, To the Lighthouse, I just want to sit and read all of it. And it's just a beautiful night. It's a very noisy night. Everyone's out and about. I don't blame them because it actually feels like fall today. It feels like fall. It's so nice. I think we might have the first little bonfire of the night in the backyard tonight, which would be really lovely. Maybe make some vegan s'mores. But yeah, I want to get lost in this. I want to read this. I'm enjoying it a lot. I did get to go to a little lighthouse today on a walk. But yeah, I was really dragging my feet. It was very sluggish today. Today has been, I'm overwhelmingly exhausted day. If you're new here or are not familiar, I do have an autoimmune disease, and I've had it for 10 years now, actually, which is wild. And because of that, like, if I'm stressed, it aggravates my flare-ups. So going on anti-anxiety medication, I don't know why I didn't consider this option sooner. I need to be less stressed because it's causing so many problems every time I'm stressed, and I'm stressed constantly, and I'm anxious constantly. So I'm really excited for this new phase of life. I'm excited to read Virginia Woolf. That's where we're at today. Let's get into it. What an incredible morning it has been so far. I already went to the gym. I'm nursing my second cup of coffee here. I did my whole morning routine, which is quite extensive and delightful and my favorite part of my day, honestly, and sat outside in the sun and finished To the Lighthouse. Okay, this was a roller coaster of emotions for me, honestly. I started this book feeling a little disillusioned by it, feeling a little, not necessarily disappointed, just kind of like, yeah, I've experienced Virginia Woolf before, and I just wish I felt more from her writing. I wish I liked it more. I wish there was more to it that I enjoyed. I wish there was something for me to bite into and grab onto. A lot of what she writes is so stream of consciousness and it is so character focused, which I do enjoy a lot. I think in my perfect writing style world is sometimes things just get a little wordy. Sometimes things just really run on. The sentence structure just goes really long to the point where I feel like it's losing its point, it's losing its meaning. It gets so repetitive and it gets so focused and lost at the same time, which feels like exactly like what Virginia Woolf is talking about in this book. And if you're not familiar with what this book is about, as I wasn't going into it, I actually had no idea what the plot was. Not like you even really need to know what a lot of so far what I've read of Virginia Woolf. You don't really need to know what the plot is because there ain't one. There's not much plot happening with Virginia Woolf. It is character study, it's life study, it's a philosophical study, it's inner monologues, it's just a lot. Not even descriptions of places or things that much. It's just feelings. It's like trying to describe feelings, which in itself is a feat. It's really hard to explain how you feel about something or what emotion it is. Like, describe happiness. What is it? What is that? What is an emotion? So it is chronically this beautiful imagery that I always try and imagine is like trying to pin a live butterfly on a corkboard. It is so hard to do. And I can tell Virginia Woolf is like, that's what she's doing. She's trying to like explaining things and trying to piece them into different ways so that way the reader can get something out of it. That's what it feels like. Trying to explain the huge variety of ways and things that we can feel. And I am curious. I do have my copy of The Waves here, and I really hope my microphone is working because there is construction happening. There are motorcycles. This is the edition of The Waves that I read. Let's see here. This one was published 1931. To the Lighthouse. What came first? I'm so curious. 1927. Okay, so To the Lighthouse came before The Waves, and I can sense that. These two being the last Woolf books I've read, they feel so similar to me. It is this repetition of waves hitting the coast, hitting the shore, following people, this growing up from childhood, losing that childhood joy and imagination, growing up into adulthood, reminiscing on what being a child was like, reminiscing on the relationships with each other, with themselves, with society. It felt so similar to me personally. And I am by no means, I am not a Virginia Woolf expert. I am not a completionist. I have not read all of her works. Okay, so please don't come for me in that sense. But from my own personal experience, we're going to fall off my pillow here. I don't know. It just like it ebbs and flows for me. So the beginning, I was like, oh boy, yep, this feels like a Virginia Woolf book. Then as I got excited in my last update with you all, I was feeling it. I felt really attached to it. I felt really excited. I liked what we were reading, especially the dinner scene. There's a scene where all of these characters that we have slowly gathered information of and gotten to know all gather for dinner at this house at the Ramseys. And it's also Mr. Tansley's there. Mr. Banks. Mr. Banks is there. All of these side characters, Lily's there, and then the Ramsey's 8 children are there. And it is seeing how they all dart glances at each other, how they all are taking things that another person says personally, how they're interpreting it, how they are then course correcting their behavior to match another person's or to go against another person's. It's a lot. I don't know. I just didn't feel anything new, but I loved it. I loved seeing how these characters interacted. I loved seeing more things happening. We were getting to see and hear more from different characters all at once at this dinner party scene, which I really enjoy. I liked being able to bounce around our perspectives and being able to see how everyone interacts with each other, because the beginning of the book did feel like this longer study in second by second, like milking out a moment, and analyzing it from all these different perspectives and angles. So I really liked that. And I had no idea where the book was going to go from there. And I don't want to spoil it for anyone else who also doesn't know where the book is going to go. But we then enter part 2, which is called Time Passes. And that broke my heart. That was not where I anticipated this book going at all. And I was shocked and heartbroken and sad and felt really emotional. And then part 3 is The Lighthouse. And we're kind of thrown back in with these characters. So we spent some time away from them during the part 2, Time Passes. Then in part 3, we revisit some of the characters, and I found myself bored. I did find it really incredibly repetitive. I felt exhausted. I felt annoyed and irritated that we were reading the same things over and over and over again. And that's just from my perspective. And I don't know. I think Virginia Woolf is an incredible author. I understand that a lot of people love her work. I just, I don't think she's my favorite author. I don't think I connect with her as much as I would like to. It is so much about philosophy and emotion, which again is so up my alley. But I just think at some point it just felt like it was beating a dead horse. It was too much. I just don't think that even that part 3 needed to be in there personally. And that might give me a lot of flack. But I don't know. I just don't enjoy it as much as some other classic works that I really enjoy. Specifically, I think about how much I enjoy Colette, how so much is said without so many words. It just felt dry and like trying to push emotion near the end. It felt like, okay, if you didn't get the point, here it is. But that was just my own interpretation. That was my own experience. There are certain things that I think will linger with me, certain phrases and sentences that felt really profound and beautiful. But I think overall, it didn't really worm its way into my heart as much as I wanted it to. And that's okay. Some books are not meant for everyone. I just really thought that Virginia Woolf would be like a favorite author of mine. She is so revered. People really do love her work, and I do respect it. But I think on the scale of enjoyability, of readability, of wanting to read it, wanting to be in the narration style, the writing style as well, just it didn't work for me after a while, or even at the beginning. It was like, oh, yep, here we go. Yeah, it's just one of those authors that like leaves my throat dry. I don't know. It feels like I just had like a musty, like really dry piece of like apple or something. Like you wanted it to be like luscious and crisp and like, ooh, it quenches your thirst. But instead it just kind of made me more thirsty. And that's okay. Also, I wish there was more lighthouse into the lighthouse, but that's okay. Okay, so in moving on though, I thought to spice things up for a little bit, kind of cleanse the palate, I would pick up True Sea Stories. This is by Henry Brook. I talked about this one in my little book haul video, but there is specifically one story in here that I really want to read, and it is about a lighthouse, and it's called The Lighthouse Heroine, which first off, look at that cool little illustration. It follows Grace Darling had always lived quietly on her island outpost, but the night she went to the rescue of a shipwrecked crew, her life would change forever. So these are true sea stories, and I thought I would quickly read it. It looks like it is only 12 pages long. And this is teeny. So this is The Lighthouse Heroine. I am going to quickly read this. I have a little bit of work to get done, and then I think I am going to be starting Lighthousekeeping by Jeanette Winterson. I've talked about this one so many times in past videos. The first time I picked this up, I did get quite far into it. I want to say I got like over like 50 pages. It is super easy to read. The font is really spaced out. The margins are huge. So I'm going to pick this up. I did soft DNF this book last time I picked it up. I just wasn't vibing with it. And unfortunately, Jeanette Winterson is also one of those authors that feel like on paper, she should be the perfect author for me. She should. We're giving it a go. We're going to see. I love the lighthouse theme, though. This has been really fun. So that's the plan. Let's quickly read Lighthouse Heroine. I will check in with you, tell you what I learn. and we'll go from there. So in 1838, some of the first British passenger ships were taking folks to and from Scotland and London. One of those ships was the Forfarshire, which is such a wonderful name. It's actually going across the Northumbrian coastline north of Hull, which is a fearful stretch of churning seas and hidden reefs. And over the centuries, there have been more than 500 recorded wrecks in that area. And it makes the Farne Islands one of the most dangerous spots for shipping. So the Forfarshire was approaching the islands and it crashed, and the ship smashed headlong into one of the islands called Big Harcar Rock. On Longstone Island, a mile away, was a couple, the Darlings, and they had a 22-year-old daughter named Grace. She, in the middle of the night, heard the screams and cries of these passengers from the Forfarshire who had crash landed on the island. So in the morning, Grace and her father actually were able to spot the wreckage of a ship. It had crashed during a massive storm with these huge waves crashing on the island, and they knew that they had to go and give them help and go rescue them. But the storm was so bad, it raged for 4 whole days. William Darling and his daughter Grace decided to take a small rowing boat out to the island, and they rescued the only 9 survivors of this wreck. 43 people had perished. There's some really gruesome scene in here about some of the passengers they found. So they ended up taking 2 separate trips and having to row everyone back to the lighthouse. And then once they got back to the lighthouse, these 9 survivors, Grace took care of them at the lighthouse. It took 3 days before another fishing boat came to collect them, took them to mainland. And then from there, the British public went bananas for Grace. Okay, Grace became a celebrity icon. Everyone was saying that she was so adventurous. She saved and rescued all of these people. And then 2 weeks after this rescue, a portrait artist came to the lighthouse, came to the island, and he was a celebrity photojournalist, and he made a quick sketch of Grace, and then they sold it to a local newspaper. After the 7th portrait artist had come knocking on the lighthouse door, Mr. Darling, he grumbled, "We're done. No more for my daughter." It turns out Grace and her 8 siblings, were all homeschooled and were very puritanical, didn't even own a deck of playing cards because the Darlings believed it was the works of the devil. So she lived a very solitary life on this island, very pure, very religious, very devout. She then was receiving all of these letters from all over, people begging her for locks of her hair, for scraps of fabric from the dress she'd worn on the day of the rescue. She hand wrote and replied to every single inquiry, explaining that she was never bored on the island, she was fine, she was not going to the mainland, she liked what she did, and also there was no way for her to send locks of hair to everyone because by the end of it, she would have to have a wig. So all of a sudden she's getting all of this attention, and the Darlings were getting all this attention. Her parents are getting super upset. And this little book is so filled with really amazing history in such a condensed way, talking about the Industrial Revolution, about how the next year in 1838, Oliver Twist was published, and how it talked about poverty and crime and workhouses, and just, how the lighthouse and working and living there for this family was actually the best way to keep their children safe from those horrible conditions that were happening during the Industrial Revolution. And the workers then really craved entertainment, and that's why her story really took off, was this heroism, adventure, catastrophe, this isolation on an island, but also this puritanical Victorian woman. She is devout, she's pure, she's chaste, she stays on this island, she's humble, she saves lives, she's maternal, she took care of all of these survivors. She became a symbol of dutiful femininity in a troubled age, along with Queen Victoria, who came to the throne in 1837. So it's all of this historical reference. This book is awesome. Throughout September and October, Grace Fever is what they called it, raged across the country. Journalists came, artists came, circus owners came to the island, begging Grace to sit in a lifeboat on the stage while his company performed. Money came. The Duke and Duchess of Northumberland were Grace groupies. They offered to set up a trust for her. Her portrait was then featured on hundreds of gaudy pottery designs and knickknacks. She did inevitably end up passing away a few years later from tuberculosis, and William Wordsworth actually wrote the lines that are featured on her headstone overlooking the sea. That was amazing. That was so cool. I can't wait to read more of these. And that's your little lesson for the day. Good morning, friends. I was able to read quite a bit yesterday. I am currently on page 77 in Lighthousekeeping and flying through this. It is really delightful. I'm so glad I soft DNF'd this one because I think watching The Lighthouse with Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson, not my favorite movie, I will say, right off the bat there. But reading this after watching that movie for this vlog felt so much more atmospheric to me, and it feels so much more moody and eerie and a little bit more sinister. I think I had a little bit of a cognitive dissonance with this cover. It's like very pink and summery, and then you read it and it's just kind of all over the place. This is following our protagonist. She is a recent orphan, probably around like 10 years old, and she is taken under the caregiver of the lighthouse keeper named Mr. Pugh, and he's kind of like a timeless being. So he has all of these stories talking about the early 1800s, talking about Robert Louis Stevenson, and these characters that built the lighthouse and ran the lighthouse in this small town on an island called Salts. And it is half whimsical, half fast-paced mythology. Like, it feels like a fable, like a legend. I feel like that's often what Jeanette Winterson's work feels like. It feels as though we're kept at a distance or arm's length. Like, it just feels like we're being told a story, and it doesn't really feel emotive to me personally. I don't really feel connected to anyone. It's just kind of like, okay, cool, that happened to this person, and these are the odd magical realism things that are happening. So I am enjoying it, flying through it. I was hoping to finish it today before I fly out to Iceland tonight. I'm flying out tonight. However, fun turn of events. I don't feel like I've had a video or a vlog go the way that I've planned it in a while, and that is the spice of life this year. Honestly, the season of life I'm in is like nothing is really going to plan, and I just have to ride it out. But essentially, I thought I'd been having a really bad flare-up with my autoimmune disease, but turns out I think it's actually something worse. And now I have to go to urgent care to hopefully get on medication before I fly out to Iceland, so that way I'm not in excruciating pain while I'm in Iceland. Autoimmune stuff sucks, I gotta say. This is just such a bummer. And yeah, normally I don't know. I'll briefly talk about it, but for anyone who doesn't know, I haven't talked about it in a long time. I have interstitial cystitis. I was diagnosed when I was 21, and it's an autoimmune disease that basically the symptoms mimic a UTI. So awful, painful, excruciating, debilitating, awful, awful, awful experiences. Feels like you have to go to the bathroom all the time. Nothing happens when you do go. Burning, pelvic pain, excruciating, throbbing, burning, stabbing, cramps, all the whole 9 yards. It's awful. So when I first was diagnosed, it took over 6 weeks for me to be diagnosed because it just mimics a UTI. So the doctors were on gave me antibiotics, gave me steroids, gave me ultrasounds. Like, literally, it's a process of elimination to get an IC diagnosis. So what I'm experiencing right now is what I thought was maybe a flare-up, which I was like, this is really weird. Maybe it's my new medication I'm on that's causing a flare-up or something like that. I don't know. But now I think it could be something worse. I think it could actually be like a UTI or something. So now I have to go figure out if it's my medication is causing really bad flare-up, my new anti-anxiety medication, and if it is, then I have to switch it or get off of it. And I don't want to do that, but I'm gonna have to. I just can't be in this amount of pain while I'm traveling. So I have to go to urgent care, and I'm gonna bring Lighthousekeeping with me and read it. My plan today was to be able to do some video editing before leaving, take it really easy because my flight isn't until tonight. But unfortunately, life, which stinks. I am just getting symptom after symptom of all of these annoying things. My hair's been falling out since March because of the stress. And then the stress causes my autoimmune disease, which causes other things. So the anti-anxiety medication is so needed right now. But if it's causing me to have a flare-up, and now I'm in more pain, which is causing more stress, which means I have to go to the doctor, which causes me more stress because I hate the doctor. I truly, truly hate going to the doctor because of all the medical trauma I've had for the past 10 years. So fun stuff, but I feel okay in the grand scheme of things. I'm like, okay, that's just what we have to do today. We just have to deal with it. We're just gonna have to do it. And I'm just so grateful that I get to be in Iceland. I just want to be in the best physical shape I possibly can be. And I think overall I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm doing really well, despite all of the stress and feeling out of control in my own body. Hi, it's editing August. I didn't give an update on like my urgent care thing, but I had a really, really wonderful nurse who helped me. But unfortunately, it was not a UTI, and so it seems as though I was pumped full of some drugs just in case it was a UTI before I went on my flight. And I think my medication is giving me flare-ups, which now I need to go address with another doctor's appointment, and I have that in like 2 weeks. So yay. No, I'm still in pain and I don't know what to do. I finished Lighthousekeeping. I do say Unfortunately, this is another book that, while very easy to read, kind of compulsive to read just because it changed its structure so frequently. We were bouncing between Silver's point of view and then getting the history of Babel Dark, who was one of the lighthouse keepers, and then we also are with Mr. Pugh, and then we're getting these fragments where it seems like Silver and Pugh are having conversations, but there are no quotation marks, and it's very, very brief, this back and forth dialogue. Very tiny. It changes so frequently that this almost feels like little vignettes rather than a cohesive story. Will all of a sudden flash forward or into current present time with Silver, and she's in like a psychiatric hospital and things feel more modern and relatable, whereas her childhood life felt so fantastical. And then there are magical realism elements in this as well. And I don't know, friends. It is so frustrating to me when there are books and authors that I feel like I should be connecting with. It's more of the concept, the premise. Put all of these ideas onto paper and they sound intriguing. The theory themselves sound really intriguing, the plot interesting, characters interesting, but there's nothing for me to grab onto, and I feel like that is the same with To the Lighthouse with Virginia Woolf. There wasn't enough for me to grab onto. It really did feel like I was putting my hands through sand and everything was filtering out, which is fine as a theory and as a concept and as an artistic motif, you know? If you think about the lighthouse as a motif, really diving into what it means to be lost, what it means to be found, what it means to be able to see a little light in the dark, but it is so fleeting. And the movement of a lighthouse is reliable, consistent, right? It's always sweeping or blinking or flashing. It is consistent in its rhythm, in its pattern. But also it's not constant enough where it's just a spotlight. There is something that could be dissected in what a lighthouse even means and is when it's something that is reliable and so far off and in the distance and intangible, yet it signifies a concept of land, of home, of ground, of stability is up ahead, of your future is here, your family is here, a country is here, the land is here, and you're not quite there yet. And I don't know, I think there are so many things you can dissect with it. So I'm grateful that I read these. I am. I think it allows me to formulate my own opinion that like, I just sadly don't think either of these authors are for me, which doesn't make any sense. If you've been here for a long enough time, you know I like surrealism and magical realism, and I like novels that don't spoon feed me, that there's something more nebulous and transient and interpretive with these characters, and it is but they just don't work for me. The platter in which they're being served to me on, with the writing style, with the characters or the lack of character development or personality traits in general, like it's just not substantial enough for me personally. I do love explorations into the existential and the philosophical and the religious and the divine. I love that stuff so much. That's why it's so heartbreaking that like I just don't think these things work for me. And I think for Lighthousekeeping in general, I felt this way about Jeanette Winterson before, where maybe it is kind of similar to Virginia Woolf as well, that the writing style, while prose-like and beautiful and gorgeous, will suddenly, in order to actually get the plot along, does have very simplistic language. I feel like it is easy to understand what is physically happening in the world and what these characters are actually doing. And I think that makes these really accessible. But I do find in Jeanette Winterson's writing especially that she tends to over-explain like what the meaning of what she just wrote was about, and that always irritates me personally as a reader. I don't really want to be told why an author decided to put a certain sentence or a certain metaphor in there. I feel like Jeanette Winterson does try to flesh out these ideas a little too much to the point where it comes across as really trite. And that aggravates me because it'll be like, we're coming home, and in that sense it was a homecoming, or I don't know, it just feels almost like a regurgitation of like what we just read, but just in simplistic terms, and it feels a little Tumblr poetry-esque to me in that sense. But there was one passage in here, there was one paragraph that I could not stop reading, and I just read it over and over again because there was something so simple and beautiful about it. And it is talking about love. It says, love is not part of natural selection. So again, it's like sometimes it can be a little cheesy. It can be a little ooey gooey, saccharine, trite, little over the top, like, yeah, okay. But then it reads, where did love begin? What human being looked at another and saw in their face the forests and the sea? Was there a day, exhausted and weary, dragging home food, arms cut and scarred, that you saw yellow flowers and, not knowing what you did, picked them because I love you? I thought that was really cute. As a romantic at heart, that was really cute and very sweet, and I did really like that little passage. It just felt really, it just jumped out to me. That felt so wholesome and almost like childlike in its whimsy and wonder, which is what Jeanette Winterson feels like she's teetering on, is this like whimsy, wonder, childhood imagination, exploration of these fundamental concepts such as like love and time and space and relationship, which it is hard to talk about without coming across as trite. However, this formula just didn't really work for me. So yeah, I didn't really connect with these texts, unfortunately. And again, I just feel like that doesn't make sense. I can see why these are such beloved authors and stories and novels, but I just, unfortunately, they just didn't work for me personally. And it makes me really question, I'm like, what even is my style? What do I even love? What do I look for? Why did these not work? And I don't know if I have an answer for that. I think I'm trying in my babbling here to explain it and why they didn't quite work for me. But I think all in all, it's just, sometimes things just don't work. But I'm still so grateful. This was such a fun vlog, doing a lighthouse themed vlog. Watched the movie The Lighthouse, read a little true sea story of a lighthouse, and went to go visit a lighthouse. And it was just great. I highly recommend doing a little themed vlog like this. This was just delightful. If you have any lighthouse related books, I would love for you to share them in the comments below. I hope this was really fun for you. The only other lighthouse book I can think of at the on the top of my head right now is The Bird Artist. The author I cannot remember. I'll put it on the screen. But The Bird Artist, that one does take place in a lighthouse. That one is extremely moody and very atmospheric. So if you haven't heard of it, I definitely recommend it if you like lighthouses. But if you have a book recommendation that takes place in a lighthouse, features a lighthouse, definitely let us know. If you don't want to be perceived in that way, I completely understand. I would love to see emojis in the comments of lighthouse. What does a lighthouse emoji theme look like to you? It could be waves, could be a little mermaid, just be a little boat anchor, a little hook, all those fun things. I would love to see it. But thank you so much for being here, friends. Thank you so incredibly much. This was so fun. I hope you had a fun time. I really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see you all again very soon for my next video. Until then, stay cozy, my friends. Bye!